Spencer Lazara, MMA Interviews, here for episode 4 of the Ultimate Fighter Recap with King Kevin Casey. You had your fight this week. Obviously not your finest hour, we wouldn't say, but talk us through the fight and how you were feeling. I know you weren't feeling quite 100% there.
Well, you know, first I want to congratulate Collin Hart on a great performance. You know, he came out, he imposed his will, he put a tremendous amount of pressure, and ultimately wore me down in the fight. Going into the fight, my preparation was excellent. A couple of days before the fight, I felt amazing. I felt great. I had to bounce. And then after my weight cut, and then going into the warm-ups, I felt a little dry and I felt a little fatigued. And when it came time to push, when I needed to push, I just felt like I didn't have the push that I needed in that fight. And I can put it on a lot of different reasons, but whatever the case, Collin imposed his will and did what he did, and I had a couple spurts of action in the fight, but he just stayed tight, and he played a smart fight. He didn't really take any risk, and I wasn't able to come up with the victory.
Were you frustrated there on bottom? He wasn't seeming to want to posture up much, or there weren't a lot of opportunities for you to work your submission game. How frustrating was it?
I definitely wasn't frustrated. I felt that I was a little too patient, and I didn't switch gears and go for a position of standing up and continue to stand up and force the fight to separate a little bit. So I got a little comfortable on the bottom, and he didn't really make any mistakes down there. So he stayed tight and he didn't expose himself. Looking back,
I mean, your hands look great. Would you have wanted to keep the fight standing, sort of? I mean, you're a grappler, so your first instinct is always going to be kind of gank to the mat. So you're not going to shy away from that. But looking back, your hands looked great, man, the flurries you threw.
Definitely, I felt good with the hands, but at the same time, like my body felt fatigued, and I really, I felt like my shoulders were tightening up. So even though I was throwing the punches, I really couldn't feel my arms at that point. So it was like I was almost throwing them, and I felt good about them, but I felt very fatigued in the fight. Yeah.
The experience, though, of course, is something that's really good for you. You're only 5-1 as a pro MMA fighter. You have a lot of grappling experience, but it's something different getting in the cage. Talk about the experience and just learning from this.
Definitely, the overall experience was a positive one for me, because I never fought anyone who was kind of intent on just holding me, and just kind of stalling the fight, using the small shoulder strikes, and not really going for the kill. I'm used to guys going opening up and trying to finish the fight, and I felt like Collin had the kind of strategy to just hold on tight, don't give any space, and kind of go to the scorecard. So that experience has changed me as an athlete, and now I have to start to evolve and come to the realization is sometimes I have to stand up, sometimes I have to use the elbows on the bottom if the guy's intent on just holding me down for the whole fight.
Yeah, I guess jiu-jitsu is a lot different in an MMA fight than it is in a jiu-jitsu competition. Also, the cut is obviously something that's probably on your mind there as you go to the ground and all of a sudden blood starts seeping in your eyes and whatnot. Were you aware of where the cut was, that it was a new one as opposed to your old one?
Yeah, I felt the cut. It was an unintentional headbutt. So it wasn't anything malicious. And immediately the blood started to go into the eyes, and started to take away some of my vision. And he was just really tight there. He stayed really close. He made it difficult for me to get separation. And overall he did a good job of just grinding the fight out.
It's nice to see you congratulate him and have, give him his due, considering he was kind of disrespectful to you there. And that was kind of unexpected. He seems like such a quiet guy, and then all of a sudden the finger at the weigh-ins. I mean, that surprised you.
Yeah, definitely. It took me by surprise, and I didn't know if it was just a strategy to hype the fight up, or if there was something that really went on. Especially considering that up until that point, all of us had been very respectful in the house, and we had talked about keeping having a new image for the for the Ultimate Fighter, and so he went that route, and it just kind of took me off guard a little bit.
And I guess talk about the wild card possibility at the time and thinking you have these cuts. I mean, what's going through your head at that moment?
At that moment, I definitely was 100% focused on trying to heal as much as possible, and I was trying to figure out mentally what went on in the fight, because I felt like the weight cut could have been a potential issue, but I felt like I had drank plenty of fluids, so I was kind of going through my my training up until that fight and trying to assess what could have been wrong. You know, had I trained too much with Chael and drained my shoulder strength and kind of fatigued myself? Was it the weights? What was it? Because if I were to get a potential wild card position, I would definitely not want to repeat the same kind of performance.
Definitely. And then Kelvin is taking on Bubba now next week. The initial thoughts on that matchup? Obviously, everyone kind of understood that it was an underdog matchup for your team.
Definitely. Kelvin was, the underdog, being that he was the youngest guy in the house. I believe he was had a 5-0 record, and he was undefeated. So, but at the same time, we felt like Bubba was one of the top fighters on their team, and this was a tough matchup for Kelvin, obviously.
Now we'll go into a little breakdown of UFC 157 right here in our backyard, Anaheim, California. You've got a teammate, of course, in the co-main event, Lyoto Machida taking on Dan Henderson, a battle of a couple of legends there, man. It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see Lyoto in this fight. His last performance with Bader was phenomenal. His movement was great, and he came up with the knockout, and now he's going against Henderson, and I think this is an excellent fight for Lyoto. I think that his movement will kind of disrupt Dan's right hand, and I think it's going to be a good fight and potential knockout for Lyoto.
Do you see, there was a lot of talk that Lyoto wasn't quite himself after the Shogun, fight, and he kind of was a little gun shy. Did you notice any of that, or do you think that's all just chatter, and do you feel any difference in him now after like a fight like Bader, getting his confidence back?
Well, in his last fight with Bader, I saw somebody who was very patient, somebody who was very focused and was waiting for the right opportunity, because when the opportunity presented itself, there was no hesitation. That it was boom, the strike was there. So up until that point, it was all finesse. It was all the style and the artistic aspects of the karate that he demonstrated, and he came up with the win in an exciting fashion. So I think that he's back to his own self, and I think that they're really going to see him on full throttle this fight, because I've noticed a big growth in his training, especially his groundwork and his scrambles, and he's very solid right now.
What are the most difficult things to deal with him when you're sparring with a guy like that?
Whenever you're sparring with Lyoto, his movement and his understanding of range. He understands how to get in, how to get out safely, and it's great to just have him around and be able to mix it up, and hopefully some of those skills will rub off on us here.
Looks like it has from your striking, man. I know it's gotten infinitely better, and I think we'll continue to see that every fight, right?
Definitely, you're gonna see a completely different athlete now that I'm back to the home base, and no confusion, no BS, I'm with my team, my coaching staff, and we're gonna move forward, and we're ready to hit hard.
Thoughts from a grappler, black belt grappler like yourself on Ronda Rousey, first female fight in the UFC as well on that card.
Yeah, congratulations to Ronda. She's definitely made a new milestone for the female fighters, and and having this main event and the title shot here, and it's just excellent. She's a world-class grappler, also the judo, and and just to see her go in there and impose her will with the arm bars and things of that nature, it's exciting.
Definitely excited to see that one. And this weekend, of course, the UFC will be in London, Wembley Stadium. Some good fights on that card, Cub Swanson and Dustin Poirier. But before we close out, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about the King, man, and this whole rap game you've got going on. I mean, you just mentioned that you got some new tracks out. How hard is that to keep that sort of flowing when you're so focused on the MMA game as well?
Well, fighting is something that I'm passionate about. And that's my lifestyle. Music is something that I love and something that I enjoy to do. So, to be able to express myself in that way and kind of, let some of my spirit out and kind of channel it into words for people to enjoy, put it on the track and make it sound good. It's something I enjoy to do, to bring a little bit of balance to my life, as far as always being in the gym and always hitting people and getting hit, kind of changes the personality a little bit. So music is a way for me to kind of, let my guard down, let people into my life and see some things about me, the way I think and the way that, I put it together.
Is it sort of an escape more from the daily grind, or does fighting also sort of have a motivating factor or help you, inspire you for the hip-hop?
Definitely. I think that the fighter spirit is behind all of my music, you know, because a lot of times I make songs that are heartfelt. You know, it's not all about, you know, being hard all the time. You know, I made a song, you know, for my mom. You know, I made a song for, you know, for the ladies out there or something. And, you know, that's from the softer side of my personality. You know, I'm not just a big monster. You know, so, you know, I try to show different aspects of my personality and just express it, you know, with a track behind it.
Definitely safe to say, though, that you're the toughest rapper in the game, right?
Hands down.
I don't think anybody wants a grappling match with this man. Jay-Z, the game, thinks he can box. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, man. You know, everybody has to stay in their own lane.
Well, can we expect anything coming out, like anything announcements on that front?
No, right now, you know, I'm just putting the music out there virally, you know, just you know, starting to get people to know this is something that I do and this is something that I am serious about. And, you know, they can make their own judgment from there. And, you know, all positive feedback is welcome. And, you know, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Well, we'll throw up some clips along with this video, and you guys can check that out, man. The King, Kevin Casey. I'm Spencer Lazar. We'll see you next week for our TUF Recap.